Hi everyone, welcome back to part 2 of our chapter, The Elixir of Life. In the part 1, we saw a very beautiful example that the author gave us about Libyan desert and the valley. Yes, what the difference was and how water is so important. Now let's move on. The rain-fed tanks, as you have seen, right, that are so common in South India, alas, often so sadly neglected in their maintenance, are a cheering sight when they are full. Won't you be sad if all those rain-fed tanks are empty, and aren't we so happy when they are full? So let's start taking care of those. There is nothing which adds so much to the beauty of the countryside as water. Now imagine this entire picture without water. It won't look nice. Be it just a little stream tickling over the little rocks, be it just little bit of water, but it adds so much to the beauty. Or a little pond by the wayside where the cattle quench their thirst of an evening. They drink water and fulfill their thirst. They are, of course, shallow, but this is less evident since the water is silt laden and throws the light back, and the bottom does not therefore show up. Although it is so shallow here, still you can't see the bottom. Can you see the bottom? Can you see the ground? No, because it throws back light and does not show up. These tanks play a very important or vital role in South Indian agriculture. Some of these tanks are surprisingly large, and it is a beautiful sight to see the sunrise or set over one of them. As light reflects, it shows its colors. Water in a landscape may be compared to the eyes in a human face. It reflects the mood of the hour, being bright and gay when the sun shines, turning into dark and gloomy when the sun is overcast or the sky is overcast. One of the most remarkable facts about water is its power to carry silt or finely divided soil in suspensions. If you can see this image, see how much sand is where, okay? Now sand here below on the bed of water is 60%. It has the power to take up that much sand. But if you go little above, it is only 30% sand. And little more, the clay is only 10%. That's the power the water has. This is the origin of the characteristic color of the water in rain-fed tanks. The rain-fed tanks, you can see the difference of the color. This color varies with the nature of the earth in the catchment. Catchment is where the water is getting collected area and is most vivid immediately after a fresh inflow following rain. How much rain has come at that point? The color of the water depends on that. Swiftly flowing water can carry fairly large and heavy particles. Water is so strong that it can carry even small particles or big and heavy particles. The finest particles, however, remain floating within the liquid in spite of their greater density and are, of course, extremely small. But their number is also great. Small particles are much larger than the bigger particles. The flow of water has undoubtedly played a great part and a beneficent one in the geological process by which the soil on the earth's surface has been formed from the rocks of its crust. Now imagine there is a big rock. Water comes, hits the rock, goes away. Now soil is formed, and what kind and how soil is formed, it depends on the force of water. The same agency, however, under appropriate conditions, can also play a destructive part and wash away the soil, which is the foundation of all the agriculture, and if allowed to proceed unchecked, can have the most disastrous effects on the life of the country. Now a proper agricultural field, if there is heavy rain, can be completely destroyed. So we have to take care of all that. Now the same water we saw which broke the rock and made it into soil can also be disastrous. Yes, it can also spoil the agriculture. The finest particles, however, remain floating within the liquid in spite of their greater density and are, of course, extremely small, but their number is also great. Can you see these fine particles floating? Their number is large, but yet they keep floating. The flow of water has undoubtedly played a great part and a beneficent one in the geological processes by which the soil on the earth's surface has been formed from the rocks of its crust. The entire rock structure of the world, rocks, water comes in, breaks the rock, and that's how soil is formed. Water plays a very great role in forming soil. Now that same soil, yes, this same agency, the same soil which was formed by that rock, however, under appropriate conditions, can also play a destructive part and wash away the soil, which is the foundation of all agriculture. And if allowed to proceed, unchecked, can have the most disastrous effects on the life of the country. The same water that formed soil can also destroy soil. Yes, it can destroy the entire agriculture if we don't take proper steps. The problem of soil erosion, that is called soil erosion. The fertile land, the agriculture flows away. It is one of the most serious import in various countries and especially in many parts of India. The conditions under which it occurs and the measures by which it can be checked deserve the closest study. If we don't take proper steps to prevent soil erosion, it can be a very big threat to our country. Now this is how soil erosion happens. Soil erosion occurs in successive steps, the earliest of which may easily pass unnoticed. Now this is the earliest step. It looks like a small hole or a pit which is very, very small. At this time only we can take a step. Otherwise, we always seem this is just a small pit and ignore it. In the later stages, the cutting up and washing away of the earth is only too painfully apparent in the formation of deep gullies and ravines, which make all agriculture impossible. Now the next step of soil erosion, this is called a ravine, this is called a gully. Now if this is formed, it is very difficult to get it back to a fertile land. Sudden bursts of excessively heavy rain resulting in a large runoff of surplus water are the principal factors in causing soil erosion. Now when it rains really heavily, there is lot of water flowing and the force of water is so much that it carries the entire soil away. Contributory causes are the slope of the land. It depends on the slope of the land. If it's too deep, removal of the natural protective coat of vegetation. If there are trees there and if you've removed the trees, it gets more difficult. The existence of ruts along which the water can flow with rapidly gathering momentum and the absence of any checks to such flow. So these checks have to be periodically done and the geologists play a great role in doing that. Incredibly large quantities of precious soil can be washed away if such conditions exist, as is unhappily too often in the case. Lot of fertile land we lose and then it's very difficult to get back that soil. If you can see the effects of soil erosion everywhere, and this happens a lot in India. The menace, the madness which soil erosion presents to the continuance of successful agriculture is an alarming one in many parts of India, calling urgently for attention and preventive actions. We have to take actions before we lose our soil completely. The terracing of the land, the construction of bunds to check the flow of water, these are called counterplowing. Right? These are the practices which are very common for preventing soil erosion. and the planting of appropriate types of vegetation are amongst the measures that have been suggested. We should plant our trees appropriately to avoid soil erosion. This is called terracing. This is how we plant the trees to prevent soil erosion. Now it is very obvious that the aim should be to check the flow of water at the earliest possible stage before it has acquired any appreciable momentum and correspondingly large destructive power. We have to make sure that we check the flow of water. Wherever we think the water is coming in high speed, we make a bund to stop the water there, and then the water reduces the speed, right? So we have to take preventive measures, and that too in correct time. Now we are in our question answers of this part. You all can do that with me. Question number 4, which is on page number 22. What brought about this wonderful difference? The wonderful difference was brought about by the water of the river Nile flowing down to the Mediterranean from its sources a couple of thousands of miles away. Question number 5. What is the cheering site mentioned in the paragraph 5? This is page 22. The cheering site to the writer is the filled rain-fed tanks that are so common in South India. Yes, that's a very nice and happy sight to see, the full tanks. Question number 6. What does the writer compare water in a landscape to? The writer compares water in a landscape to the eyes of the human. Why does he make this comparison? He makes this comparison because water reflects the mood of the hour, being bright and bay when the sun shines, turning to dark and gloomy when the sky is overcast. See the difference in the nature. How does the water in rain-fed tanks get its color? How do they change the color? The color of the water in rain-fed tanks is from the silt or finely divided soil in suspension. This color varies with the nature of the earth in the catchment area and is most vivid immediately after a fresh inflow following rain. What is the main cause of soil erosion? Sudden bursts of excessive heavy rain resulting in a large runoff of surplus water are the principal factors causing soil erosion. What other factors add to the erosion of our precious soil? Contributory causes to the erosion of our precious soil are the slope of the land, removed of the natural protective coat of vegetation, which are the trees that already existed, the existence of ruts along which the water can flow rapidly, gathering momentum, and the absence of any checks to such flow. Question number 10. How can soil erosion be prevented? What can you do to prevent soil erosion? Soil erosion can be prevented by terracing of the land, construction of bunds to check the flow of water, terracing of the land, construction of bunds to check the flow of water, the practice of contour cultivation and the planting of appropriate type of vegetation. So the water does not come fast. Question 13. The land formed of silt in alluvial areas is always fertile. Say whether the statement is true or false. It is true. Yes, the land which is formed of silt in alluvial areas is always fertile. Dash takes place when water carrying silt mixes with the water, salt water of the sea. Complete the sentence with the appropriate word. What word will come here to complete the sentence? The word will be erosion. Erosion will take place when water carrying silt mixes with the salt water of the sea. Question 15. Planting of the appropriate type of vegetation will result in what? First, the continuance of successful agriculture, the terracing of the land, preventing environmental pollution, reducing the momentum of the flow of water. Yes, it will result in reducing the momentum, the speed of the flow of water, and then thus preventing soil erosion. What are the various causes of soil erosion and how can we prevent it? This is on page number 24. Now the various causes of soil erosion are heavy rain, slope of land, removal of vegetation, ruts which enable water to flow faster, and absence of my barriers to check flow of water. Preventive action would be terracing of land, contour cultivation and planting of vegetation. We convert those points into a paragraph. C.V. Raman tells us that soil erosion is a major problem in India. Soil erosion happens due to several reasons. Firstly, a sudden downpour of heavy rain can result in excess water carrying topsoil into the sea. Secondly, the slope of the land and the removal of the natural protective coat of vegetation and the existence of ruts along which water can flow rapidly can give rise to erosion. Thirdly, the lack of bunds to prevent water from flowing forcefully can lead to soil erosion. Now these are the points the author C.V. Raman has explained to us to prevent soil erosion. You can underline all these in your textbook. What does C.V. Raman say about rain-fed tanks? Have you ever seen a rain-fed tank in your village? Yes, it is such a beautiful sight. Rain-fed tanks are very common in South India. Beautiful they look when they are full. Shallow, but bottom does not show up. They play a vital role in agriculture and they are surprisingly large in size. C.V. Raman tells us that rain-fed tanks are common in South India and they are very beautiful when they are full, but they are not well maintained. We do not take care of them. These tanks are shallow. They are not too deep. The water in these tanks is full of silt. These tanks play an important role in South Indian agriculture. Some of them are large and look beautiful when the sun shines on them or when the sun sets over them. Now here we come to the end of our part 2. I shall get back to you with part 3. Till then, please revise the first part and the second part.